Good morning, Your Majesty, Dorji Wangmo Wangchuk, Your Holiness, Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It is with huge humility that I stand before you today to address you. You have already heard from Her Majesty the awe and majesty, magnificence of the vision of Bhutan. So first, I would like to thank and congratulate the twin birthdays of His Majesty and the spiritual leader. Twin 70th birthday is a very significant event. The second thank that I want to give is to His Majesty for granting us this magnificent hall. You know, this is brand new, that you have given us the, honor of enjoying this awesome space, that when we come with a clear mind, with very disturbed hearts further outside in this very complicated world. Now, when, outsiders or Westerners deliver speech, they always give jokes. They start with a joke. And Easterners start with apologies. And I have to apologize because I come with lots of ignorance. And I apologize if many things, as we outsiders say, in this very refined, cultured, wise society, some of stuff that we say are very crude and maybe very rude. But let me try to explain how we got here. The first thing I want to say that even though I am not a Buddhist by faith, I am a Buddhist by philosophy. And my wife, my partner for nearly 60 years, her mother was a very devout Buddhist, and she has supported me in this very important journey. This journey started when, out of karma, Sneha Poda wrote to me by email, this is technology these days, and said, I am very interested in your idea of the one Earth balance sheet. Now, the commonality between Sneha and myself, other than, wide differences in age, is that we're both chartered accountants and we are bean counters. But the idea of the One Earth balance sheet was that I struggle against my Western training because the most brilliant philosopher, Alvin Toffler, who wrote the book Future Shock, he said that the West has prided itself of science and technology by taking things apart and studying them in depth. Before Western science, we understood everything as one. But they took it apart and they studied in depth, they found science, and then they created this technology that we enjoy today, and some of us may regret. But that science, Alvin said, we took it apart, we forgot to put it back together again. And what he really meant was in this advance of complexity science is an old Asian philosophy that man and nature are one. So when standing as an economist, and I have been born and sort of submerged in this idea of GDP, I suddenly realized that, my goodness, there is something empty there. And what is that emptiness? My Western Californian philosopher friend came in and said, GDP is rising, the stock market is booming, but the people are unhappy. What does that tell you? It tells you that what is material as measured, by the way, only since 1945, when John Maynard Keynes actually devised the idea of national accounting, climate change and spirituality was not inside his framework, not inside his brain. So the mindset of the most brilliant economists set us on a path of GDP, which was devoid of very important things. And what is that? So I'm going to simplify. Data is escalating to infinity. Wisdom is reducing that data to what we can understand. So in my very simple way, GDP is more is less. The more we consume, the less the earth is happy. The more the people are unhappy. GNH, less is more. The less we have physically, but the more we have emotionally, spiritually, makes us more happy. So therefore, from a physics perspective, the Venn diagram, if I may be very rude, GNH is not an alternative to the existing paradigm. GNH is more. In fact, GDP is only part of a larger whole. So His Majesty, when he thought and understood this vision of GNH, he was speaking the real truth, whereas GDP was only a part of this. Now, the issue that we are now struggling today, as you know, and I don't want to spend too much time, is very classic economics. The why, the what, and the how. And Her Majesty this morning set us, this very difficult question is that whatever we do, we go through GNH as a way of life, and that life is a journey. And that journey has many uncertainties. And because it is uncertain, the only way we can understand that uncertainty and that unknown is to walk that journey. And this is what Bhutan is doing. And this is why I feel, and my wife feels, so emotional. I told Her Majesty this morning, we came, we saw, we were conquered. We understood that you are walking a path is not about gross national happiness. It is about global nature's health, of which we human beings are not masters of nature, but stewards for our environment and our next generations. So once we begin to see this, what I have done what we in Georgetown, in our very small way, has done is to bring our outside friends. And I would like to, sort of end this by basically saying that we are bringing friends. I'm going to go from west to east, okay? Just to show you that Georgetown Open Studies is very open to very different philosophies. We have from United Kingdom, our friends from University of Glasgow, Professor John Crawford. I'm not going to mention all specific names, right? Then to Holland, Jan Waschbinder, he's a very old friend, complexity scientist. Then from Germany, Dieter Weiss, and my many Indian friends, many of whom are more known to Sneha than myself, right? Then our friends from China, then from Hong Kong. My Hong Kong friend will explain to you everything about the one country, two systems legal framework that operates, that we understand the Galipu Mindfulness City is operating. Then from Malaysia, and last but not least, my friend from New Zealand, who is one of the most brilliant, Michael Hart, on carbon issues. But I want to mention one specific thing. I brought from the heart of Borneo the first Murut indigenous future tribal chief, Virgil Gunting. Virgil, where are you? Please stand up. Please notice that he is wearing Bhutanese custom. So we want to bring local wisdoms all the way from the indigenous people of Borneo, to share and discuss with yours in Bhutan. Now, I just want to quickly summarize the mapping of this. The way we have mapped all this is that there is total global wisdom available, technology available. There is plenty of money in the world, but small countries like Bhutan does not find it easy to get that knowledge and get that funding. And there is a very famous poem of the ancient mariner when he was stuck on the ocean, water, water everywhere, and not a drop to drink. What I'm saying is that that knowledge and that water, that funding, needs to be brought to the villagers to empower them to empower themselves. Now, Her Majesty this morning brought in this word empowerment, and Dr. Balu from India is exactly saying this. GDP is not enough. We need to empower people. We need to empower women. We need to empower the villagers. So what does Dasho Karma Ura has just said to all of us? He has said happiness basically depends upon the integrity of the home. Home is where the heart is. So when we want to grow the individual, when we want to grow the family, we want to grow the nation, education is important. And from this, I learned from this young man just coming to Bhutan only 2 days ago. He said the heart of education is the education of the heart. And that goes to the heart of it all. GDP is not about the heart. GDP is about physical energy. It is about mental energy. It is about the energy of dominance and power. GNH is about emotional energy. It is about spiritual energy, which is not within GDP. So coming back to what Dasho Ura has said, happiness therefore is the integrity not just of the family, but of the village. And therefore happiness is about the integrity of the nation. And if the nation is happy, everybody is happy, the planet should be happy. So we need to walk this journey, and we need to walk this, the point that about walking this journey, and Her Majesty, has reminded us, and reminded myself personally. This journey, as Your Majesty said, I'm sorry, my memory is not, so good these days, but it really is about co-creation. So, yesterday, I listened to His Holiness. I was having dinner with His Holiness Gandaji San, when he said to me, enlightenment is about sharing. So today we are going on a journey of enlightenment into the unknown. But we can only walk this path if we walk it together. And so I think, let me quite summarize this, what I'm trying to say today. The Georgetown Institute is a very small institution. Bhutan is a small nation within this great power situation. But if Bhutan has now walked away, the will have a beacon of hope and light, how to deal with the sins or problems that we have gone from the negative energy of looking only as GDP as the metric of success. On that note, let me thank you all once again for coming here. Specifically, I want to thank the Tarayana Foundation, because it was exactly my discussions with Chime and Sonam, and later on through the Zoom with Her Majesty, that we became to realize that we have the same shared resonance of shared hope, shared pain, shared sacrifice, that we hope the world will be a much better place when we ourselves physically leave this world. On that note, thank you all very much for your attention.